Sonia.
It's being recorded.
You know, the meeting's going to be recorded. Is everybody okay with that? Greetings, everybody. Welcome to our October meeting. It's nice to see some of you here that we've only kind of connected, you know, in recent months via Zoom. You know, I want to start by recognizing, well, a change. We have an important change to take note of today. Good morning. And we have a change in sort of some of the members of SONYMA that I want to briefly mention. You should know that we're only getting started, and there's a really good coffee machine, which I just went to, and other breakfast treats should you want out. And yeah, this is important for new directors to understand that we do try to provide food and refreshments. Yeah. And the, you know, as a result of, well, of changes we're all familiar with, John Ballin, who served as an appointee of the former Senate majority, of the Senate, but really of the then majority, his service has ended as the new Senate majority has selected a new representative. And that's none other than Wallace Ford. And Professor Ford, very happy to have you join the board, Wallace. Nice to see you. Wallace and I were kind of catching up. We've met before, and we've done similar jobs on a personal note because of Wallace's very long service in both New York State and New York City government. And now we're colleagues in CUNY, as he's a tenured professor at Medgar Evers College in Crown Heights. You know, I would never do Wallace justice if I tried to point out all the many highlights of his career, because there are many, one of which I hope he would consider to highlight was his service as the first executive director of SONYMA under the, I believe, leadership of then Governor Mario Cuomo. And so he's been here. He has seen this movie, albeit at a different conference room and maybe even a different building, and has maintained, obviously, ties to this agency and other aspects of state government for many years. Wallace, you want to say anything just to welcome yourself?
Well, thank you for the introduction. We left off the Academy Awards.
We'll save that for next month. That's November.
But it came as certainly something of a surprise that I was being asked to serve as representative of the Senate on the board. And as Ken mentioned, certainly familiar with SONYMA. You're correct, I'm the first executive director, and then they changed titles, and then they came over the president, and so I was the first president, and all of those things. But what I do remember about being at SONYMA was the fact that we had an opportunity to get engaged with some new development efforts. One that comes to mind immediately is the Nehemiah Homes in East New York, which when that project was brought to me by I.D. Robbins, you know, there was nothing in that area that was higher than your ankle. And as soon as they pitched that, yes, this is what we're going to do. And the beauty of being in a public benefit corporation as opposed to a department, I've been in both, is that you can actually move these things very quickly. And we did, and there's thousands of people living there. That's the affordable housing program and all those kinds of things, like real ways to help real people. And so all the boards appreciated that. It is interesting coming full circle from being the president of the organization to having a member of the board, because obviously the dynamic is different, and we have I'm here at this point to try to listen and learn before coming up with a bunch of bright ideas, and then those will come at some point. But at the moment, I'm just pleased to be a colleague, and will continue to be pleased to be a colleague, and also look to participate and help in any way that I can, that's for sure. Last but not least, is gives me some great lessons for my students at Medgar Evers College, because I do teach public administration and how government works. So here we are. So maybe we'll bring the students here for one of our public meetings.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you, Wallace. Thank you for your willingness to serve. You know, unfortunately, the payroll department will note that the compensation you had as president versus that which you get or don't get as a director, well, that is a significant change. You know, now you're here for free.
I was really counting on that.
He joined us by video conference, WebEx, really, at our last meeting. AJ Freeman is here today. Delighted to have you in person, again, just to make these connections. And I don't think we gave you a chance to say a word of welcome if you wish to do so. But again, you, I believe, are an assembly. That's what I thought.
From the speaker.
Exactly. And so welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here. My apologies for the lateness. It's driving from Middle Island.
Yes, this was happening. I remember last time we had you in your car on the LIE.
Yeah, that was going to be about a 3.5-hour drive. This one today was a 3-hour drive.
Oh, no.
And I gave myself an hour buffer, so I was up at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, no. Wow.
And coming across the Ed Koch Bridge and down 678, you see the hour just depleting. But I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the welcome. And looking forward to working on a lot of great projects and doing a lot of great things.
Good. Well, thank you both. And I do want to just a couple of technical things. We have, and especially for new directors, you'll see me looking up the screen from time to time because we have directors who are logged in remotely, particularly in our Albany office, right, Luthann? Mm-hmm. And you'll hear voices and maybe see faces or maybe not when we take votes and things like that. But the group, and we have offices in Albany. Our Long Island office open today?
Nope.
Sometimes Syracuse, where, do we have Syracuse?
We have Dan Byer in Syracuse.
Oh, Dan is in Syracuse. Okay. So you'll see some of that on the screen. So although it's all great for us to be here, it's important to every now and again, you'll see participation from folks around the state. Also, these microphones, we'll see how this works. We'll do a sound check in a minute, Alex, but Joyce, for example, if you were to speak and people complained that if they couldn't hear you, you press that button with the red circle, which it's the little black thing, the box, and that activates the microphone, but it's only for when you're speaking because we tend to get feedback with all of this gear. If, like, you'll see this one, Alex and I have this one on because Alex does all the talking here. You know, but if we put too many on at once, I'm warned that we will get feedback. So again, we'll see how that technology plays out later. Before we turn things over to Alex, who will call the meetings to order, Alex, I want to make note of something that I do occasionally, which is really just commend the staff, your colleagues who prepare the minutes. Because yet again, like the minutes for our September meeting are you smiling because you did it?
You're going to make me blush again.
Oh, Alex.
You're going to make me blush again. People are going to think this is
they're going to think this is a routine.
This is a
routine. Yeah. So, but it's important to note okay, all right, it's Alex. But then I'm going to say it and embarrass you. The level of precision, Joyce and I were talking about, being on boards where you have a lot of materials and we need to read them and review them. But the level of detail in your minutes and whoever else helps you with those minutes, because you're not doing the recording. Oh, this meeting will be recorded. Must help you. Is fantastic. And the thing I picked out just because Joyce is here is who remembers this? Everybody when Director Miller in the September meeting was interrogating probably Mike about a project and wanted to know if the kitchen appliances were energy efficient. Do you remember that? You remember that question? I mean, this question is detailed in the minutes. Yes, it's in the Manor range, and it was a Whirlpool washing. I don't know what. That's the precision, and I just want to recognize that.
You sent me material about it.
Ah, you see? So that's another important thing that the staff responses to, and I mean this seriously, right? The minutes are really thorough, and then the staff follow up to Joyce's questions on that one little item, just indicate a level of seriousness and hard work, really. And dedication to details as well. So thank you all for that. Professionalism. Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely true. In any case, Alex, why don't you do what you've got to do to get us started, please?
Okay. I'm going to note that Jesse Olshak, representing the Director of the Division of the Budget, and Eric Mostert, who's standing in today for Chris Curtis, representing the Commissioner of Taxation, are participating in our meeting via video conference from DOB office at Capitol Building, room 131 in Albany. Eric, Jesse, can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Notice of that location. There you go. Notice of that location has been made public, and the public has the right to attend and observe the proceedings from that location. I see that no one has taken the opportunity to go. So now I'm going to ask for a
They
motion.
need to unlock the door.
Right.
There's a lot of public out there
Is
trying
the
to get in.
door open? I'm going to ask for motions and seconds to call to order our October 13, 2022 meetings of the various agencies and committees. So first, I'm going to ask for a motion for HFA, HTFC, and AHC, all of which share the same board. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Now I'm going to ask for a roll call of the votes. Ruth Ann Wisnauskas?
Aye. Here. Yes.
Eric?
Proper response. Aye.
Yes.
Joyce has second. Jesse?
Aye.
Sadie?
Aye.
And we have a quorum. Now I'm going to ask for a motion for SONYMA. Can I have a motion to open that meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Now I'm going to take a vote to establish the quorum. So Ken?
Aye.
Ruth Ann?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Mr. Freeman?
Aye.
We have a quorum. Now I'm going to make a motion, ask for a motion for the Mortgage Insurance Committee of SONYMA. The members of that are Ken, Jesse, and Ruth Ann. Since Dave Capel cannot join us, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. And so Jesse?
Aye.
Okay, that meeting is now open. As items are presented to each board and committee throughout today's meeting, these motions and seconds will be used unless specific items call for a different vote or unless any board member or director wishes to record his or her vote differently. The meetings are now open. Ken, over to you.
Thank you. A shout out and a thank you to Eric Mustard, my former colleague. Eric, good to see you. Thank you for representing your commissioner and our friend today.
Yes,
and just a
thank you,
point of order, point of order for our new directors, and with a big apology as we get started. This gets a little complicated because we have 6, 5. How many agencies are there really? 5. Yeah.
Well, today we're not doing MVVA.
Today we're not doing all. There used to be, and you may recall this, Wallace, but one way to approve these items, like a project that has support from several of the authorities, would be to do them in a linear way or in succession, where we would vote on an item, on an aspect of a project, those members and that board authorizing that support, and then later on have to have another quorum of another group of another authority of the many housing agencies we have here, I could say 5 or 6, and you'd have to do it all over again, and you do it several times for the same project. So think of that as actions in succession by different public authorities under the umbrella of HCR. What Alex worked out a couple of years ago was something in the interest of time saving and efficiency of kind of layering them. So we'll have a project, and the proposal from the staff will be to authorize various forms of support from these different agencies, and we'll vote at it. We'll do it all at once. And so Alex will then pause and call for SONYMA, this committee member, or HFA, or HTFC. And so it starts to, for the first few meetings, I just apologize. It can be confusing. But what we're doing is kind of consolidating those board actions and doing them at once, so we don't have to keep bringing the project back many, many, many times in the course of a meeting. So that is a little bit about how this works. The other thing is that I try to move this week. Today's agenda is not all that long, but sometimes there are days where we're here till noon. And none of us, well, I think Alex enjoys it, but the rest of us think that gets a little much. So, I try to move things along quickly. Please don't take my haste, as an indication that interrupt me, raise your hand. If you have a question, we have amazing staff resources and support to answer your questions. So I'm not trying to rush through things. The last thing I would want is in my haste for anyone to think, well, I don't want to slow the chairman down. I don't want to ask a question. He's on a roll. He wants to get us out of here. We got to move quickly. There's a lot of information, but please feel free to interrupt. And by all means, ask questions. That's why Ruth Ann and Alex and the team are here. We always start with an update from our president, Ruth Ann Wisnauskas, so I'll turn to Ruth Ann for that update now.
Great. Thank you, Ken. Welcome to our new board members. Welcome to everyone. Happy October. It has been a busy month since we were here last in early September. I think there's a lot of pent-up demand for events still coming out of the pandemic. I had the pleasure of going to Kingston twice this month, once for a large project that was a renovation of an historic almshouse next to a new construction a supportive housing project that was wonderful, and went back 2 weeks later to celebrate the groundbreaking for our first Legacy Cities project, which is the renovation of 4 vacant homes in the city of Kingston. So really looking at sort of the breadth of the programs that we run, really impacting a city like Kingston, which was great. Also, since we saw you last, the New York State Association for Affordable Housing had their annual conference up in Rochester, and a number of staff went up there, and we actually were the morning panel moderated by Betsy, and with, I think we had 6 staff on the panel talking about our programs, our changes, our sustainability changes, our design guidelines, the timing for our new programs. So that was really great and a nice way to see a lot of people. I was in Wyandanch last week in Long Island, and you've been on the board long enough. You've seen now 4 Wyandan projects in the same Wyandanch location come through the board. It's really impressive when you go out there and see the incredibly transit-oriented development work going out there. Also, the MTA has done a new train station, and they actually have as much to go as they've completed already. So it's really an amazing project out there. I was in Yonkers yesterday with the Housing Authority, the Yonkers Housing Authority is also an incredible partner for us, celebrating the start of a new construction project. And lastly, on my little travels around the state, I was lucky enough to go to Saratoga I guess that was last week, I think. And I spoke at the Neighborhood Preservation Coalition's annual meeting. And the Neighborhood Preservation Coalition and the Rural Preservation Coalition are 2 really wonderful organizations that are stewards for the small nonprofits, both rural and urban across the state. And they really, certainly throughout the pandemic, were the people who were out in communities that we serve, making sure that people had access to food and to services. And so it was nice to be able to go up and recognize all the work that they do, and also remind ourselves how much we still have to go. A couple things around the board meeting this month. So on our 9% low-cost living tax credits, you'll see 9 projects come to the board that total $45 million in investment and 480 residential units. Really excited about keeping our 9% pipeline moving along. We also have 2 additional items for your approval today. The South Buffalo Owner-Occupied Home Improvement Program. This is, we'll hear more about it, but it's a $220,000 investment to improve 16 units of low-income households in Buffalo, as well as the Market View Purchase Rehab Program in Monroe County, which will provide $400,000 for acquisition and rehab of 10 scattered sites across the county. I mentioned those 2 because we often get the big projects that come through the board, and it's always nice to recognize and remind ourselves that we actually are also building house by house as we get to our 100,000 unit goal over the next 5 years. We'll also hear about 5 large multifamily projects through the MIC, the Mortgage Insurance Committee. These are going to be in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Buffalo, and Dutchess, and are part of some of the other efforts that you'll hear today. They'll fund the rehab and construction of more than 300 units and bring retail and community. We don't often focus as much, I think, also on the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance sort of standalones, but really the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance really is an incredible tool to provide liquidity into a market that otherwise might not be able to facilitate these types of projects. And I think with that, I will turn it back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. Any questions for Ruth Ann this morning? I mean, we have a chance later on in the meeting to ask you a question. I just have one note for EJ, who gets stuck in traffic on Long Island, apparently. He should go see Wyandanch. This is an amazing, you may be familiar with it, but it's an amazing project that goes back to Commissioner Towns, actually, right? History here. There is a picture of Commissioner Towns and yours truly at a groundbreaking when there was just dirt by that train station there. And to see how truly that's come to life is just, and it is, all these things, transit-oriented development, really a revitalization of that community. And not far if you're stuck in traffic and you want to take a detour, EJ.
I was actually there yesterday.
I mean, I think it's wonderful because they both created a brand new place. Like it is definitely, it's a new place, but it also reflects the community and is very of the community. People who live there can move into those buildings. Actually, the gentleman who spoke, the building that we did the ribbon cutting for last week was a senior building. And the gentleman who spoke was very funny, who just moved in, said, I am so happy to be in a senior building. There are no teenagers here. It's like heaven to me. It was very cute. So it's nice to see. And someone who was born and raised in Wyandanch and now able to live in affordable living. It's great. It's really impressive.
General and just sort of high, big picture question within, any concern about our pipeline moving forward with, significantly rising interest rates?
We are seeing it both on the multifamily and on the single family side that rates are hitting us, but we are not slowing down. And even in our SONYMA side, because the market is going up and we're going up sort of accordingly, we still have very strong numbers in our on the SONYMA front. So
First time home buyers.
On first time
even
home
with
buyers.
these interest rates. Okay.
So it's we'll see.
Yeah.
We talk about it every week, Alex and
Yes.
I and Dina and Darrell, about where our rates are and about where the market is. But so far we're holding strong.
Great. All right. If there are no further questions for Ruth Ann, please. Hi, Sadie.
I just was wondering, Ruth Ann, if the agency is considering any of the funds coming through the IRA, through the greenhouse gas reduction fund.
We are, like many other people, I think, sitting on all the webinars that are out in the world sort of describing what's available and to who. So I think we're not quite sure yet, but where it makes sense, we certainly will do that.
Glad to hear you're listening. We're all waiting for that NOFA.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see the comments HUD has out for the GRPP. I can't remember what it stands for, but for the greenhouse gas program running through HUD, we'll be submitting comments on program design on that too. So it's unclear, I think, if that's going to be run by HUD or go through HFAs, but we certainly would want to participate if it goes through HFAs.
Yeah, one quick question, and this is part of my perpendicular learning curve, I guess. But when we're looking at projects where there's construction taking place, does SONYMA have any policy with respect to the utilization and participation of minority-owned firms in the construction process?
So we have a very large umbrella goal in the state of having 30% of the dollars going to MWBE, or there's also now an SDVOB, which is a disabled veteran percentage target also. So there's the 30% MWBE, and I think SDVOB is 6%. So we apply those to all of our multifamily construction projects, and we can sort of attest, because he's been here a while, we're
well above
consistently meet or exceed the target. And
And
sometimes it's hard, and so not all projects can do it in not all places, but we work very closely with our developers to make sure that they are making best efforts to meet it and
And
exceed it.
these firms are A certified? So
Yes.
You only, you can only meet the
It's-
30% if you're state certified.
Okay, and of course, and I've had the opportunity to put together the state's first MWBE program, New York City's first MWBE program. And one of the concerns, of course, is that because that 30% figure takes into account minority men and women, and also it takes into account white women as well. That's why it's called MWBE. How do we ascertain the extent to which there's some parity between the M and the W?
So we do, I think, annually a report out, and we split it so you can see. I'd be happy to send you our last report that we have, and you can see how we do, because we split it out by the M's and the W's.
You and I have both seen this in state government over the years, Wallace, and I can say with pretty good confidence that for a number of years, this family of agencies here doing affordable housing has really been a leader in New York State, not comparing it to the city, in MWBE utilization. And that's in part, it's largely because of one woman named Wanda Graham, who ran the program here and who, in my view, was the exemplar, the leading figure in this statewide. And she retired last year, but Veronica has taken over, and Veronica does an amazing job. And we get a board report. They will come and present at a board meeting, and they do an annual report. They have to do. They report it all to the governor's, to ESD, which reports to the governor's office on this. ESD is a state agency now charged with monitoring all the compliance of all the agencies and authorities in state government. And so the goals are aggressive, and the challenges often come around utilization and, around availability, right? The big difference between like meeting a target, but if you can't find so we'll hear about that. Your questions are spot on, of course, but Veronica, is it Veronica?
We actually hired a new replacement for Wanda Graham, who starts today.
Oh, good timing.
She starts today. Yes, she's confirming, looking on the cat. So we'll introduce her at the next board.
Really important question, and these boards keep a watchful eye over the success of this and get into the details with the team that's here. And if we can invite them to an upcoming meeting, it would be really helpful.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I'd like to, I'll follow up with you in terms of
Great.
how to learn more about just the operational side of this.
Great.
Yeah.
If that's possible. Thank you, appreciate it.
So now we're going to do, here's an example. We're going to do these layered items. We're going to move to HFA, AHC, and SONYMA items from us. And one, this is simple, approval of the transcript of the September 8th, 2022 meetings, which transcript shall be deemed approved, absent corrections from members or directors. Any comments from anybody about the minutes? And related to that, item 2, adoption of a resolution appointing a senior vice president and counsel to our agencies. So we have an exciting HR or personnel news that Ruth Ann is going to walk us through.
Yes, I am delighted to announce that we have a new general counsel. As some of you will remember, Linda Manley, our previous general counsel, left HCR in January to go become the general counsel of Enterprise, a national nonprofit organization that we work very closely with. And so we started a search at that time, and we are pleased to bring for your consideration the appointment of Diana Lopez as our senior vice president and counsel. Diana has enormous depth of experience in high-level governmental roles as well as in the public sector. We appreciated that she had been both in the private sector and also had a stint at ESD and now works in the federal for a federal entity, and now allowing her to sort of understand both sides of the business we operate in. She joined us about 12 days ago, maybe plus or minus. And we are really excited to have her on board leading the legal team. I'm very confident that she'll make a significant contribution to the work of the agency and to the board. So I recommend her without reservation, and excited that that's our first item on the agenda today.
You know, you refer to her time at ESD as a stint. I mean, it probably was the highlight of her entire career. Any questions for Ruth Ann on the appointment of Diana Lopez? We've got,
Okay,
there's
there's a resolution?
There's a resolution out, right, Alex?
Yes.
Yes.
So now before the HFA, SONYMA, AHC, and HTFC boards, these are, again, what Ken was talking about, is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Ken was praising me for the transcript, so I have to plead guilty to the fact that if anybody read the resolution, Linda left such a mark in our agencies that her first name appears 3 times.
Linda Lopez.
Her first name appears 3 times in the resolution. So my apologies for that, but it is not Linda. It is Diana Villarnovo Lopez, whom we're appointing. So assuming the first and seconds from each of the agencies for this item, all in favor of appointing Ms. Lopez, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you, Alex. Congratulations, Diana and Ruth Ann and the team. We now will move to several consent items. There'll be no discussion of these items unless board members so request. Number 3, approval of an amendment to the Information Technology Temporary Staffing Consultant Contract. Alex?
Assuming no questions, this is up before the HFA and SONYMA boards. It's a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds from HFA and SONYMA for this item, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Number 4, approval of an amendment to the Professional Temporary Staffing Services Contract.
This is very similar. So now before HFA, AHC, and SONYMA is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds from HFA, AHC, and SONYMA for this item, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you all. The next 3 items are informational. There'll be no discussion of these items unless board members or directors so request. Number 5, annual review of the Amazon web hosting contract and the contract with ProLink for hosted technology services. 6 is a current agency procurements. This is in the board materials in the lobbying restricted period. We have that every meeting, so we are aware of open procurements. 7, Mortgage Insurance Committee activity report for the month of September. That's very important to keep an eye on the Mortgage Insurance Fund, and it's the mortgage recording tax receipts for the state that fund that. So that's 5, 6, and 7. Any questions on those? Again, they're in the book, they're in the materials, and we don't have to take any actions on them. We're now going to, yes, Paul.
Mr. Chairman, briefly, just I should ask at 3 and 4, but just do we have a policy here at SONYMA with respect to we have the staffing temporary staffing situations that, in terms of, again, I guess I'll continue to ask this question, in terms of participation and presence of minority people in these firms.
So the MWBE 30% does for sure apply to our procurement. So to the extent that we have contracts like this, it applies.
I understand that,
Oh.
but
I think it's a level deeper, which is to say, when you use temp help agency, do you look at the diversity of the temp help that the agency provides?
Yes.
Oh,
It's a good question.
at their staff.
Well, if they're providing temporary staff to us, are they doing that?
Well, the temp staff agency,
Yeah.
yes, they'd be providing temps where we need them.
Right.
Yeah, so that's my question.
Is do we look at whether the temp staff is
Yeah.
meeting a diversity goal? I guess we have to get back to you on that. I don't know the answer.
It's a good question.
Appreciate it.
Mhm. We don't have a lot of temp staff. It's something, we sort of use on an as-needed basis, but we can check.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
And can they post the website for SONYMA?
Yeah. This is the web
Oh, the
hosting?
Amazon web hosting contract?
Yeah.
And they manage it?
Uh,
Because there was a question last time regarding efficiency and performance of the website, as far as where people are going and where they're clicking and whether or not they're getting the information that they need. So
Well,
is there any
I
resolution in
I
that?
I think that might be more on us.
Right, no, I think that part was because I think that's controlled by OGS. So there's a component of the SONYMA program that was being presented, and the part that we couldn't get that particular granular data because that part is run by OGS.
When you go to the, our website, all these state agencies are coordinated, under one, so that they'll look sort of similar. If you go to the parks department, state parks, it's going to look just like our homepage, except, the format, the templates. There's a lot of content we load into the site, but there's a part of control we don't have, right, Ruthann? Is that
yes, absolutely.
accurate? So I'm not sure this Amazon contract addresses that concern that came up last time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still a concern. It's like who controls what part of the site. We're going to move to items requiring Mortgage Insurance Committee actions. So this is the first time this morning we'll start to look at specific projects and actions by the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. So we'll start with number 8, which is a resolution of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $4,266,000 JP Morgan permanent first mortgage for a project which is at 235 West 107th Street in Manhattan, New York County. Mike Friedman is here, as he is virtually every month, to present on behalf of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Stephen Russo residence comprises the conversion and very substantial renovation of 84 existing SRO units without bathrooms into 68 new units, each of which will have a bathroom. And there will be kitchen and dining facilities on each floor. This is a very heavily subsidized project. The total development cost is $36 million. There's $17 million in HPD subordinate debt and $13.6 million in federal low-income housing tax credits. And of the 68 units, 54 units will be rent subsidized under the New York City 1515 program. And HPD, in addition to the $17 million in subordinate debt, will pay almost $1 million in rent subsidies. The insured loan amount is only $62,000 per unit, as compared with a cost of $525,000 per unit. The project will have a full New York City 420C real estate tax exemption. And it would break even with a 10% pro forma vacancy rate or a 7% pro forma increase in operating expenses. There's a wrinkle to this loan that the managing member of the borrower is 51% controlled by Goddard Riverside Community Center, which is a well-regarded settlement house on the Upper West Side. And Rockabill Development Limited Liability Corporation, which owns 49%. Item 13 on today's agenda is forbearance and debt service as a result of the COVID-19 epidemic for Linwood Allentown and Buffalo. which is owned outright by Rockaville Development. And I think the really significant difference is that that's a Section 8 project. And when the tenant didn't or couldn't pay their 30% of income for rent, HUD didn't pay its Section 8 rent subsidies. This is not Section 8. This is a New York 15 program with 17 million in subordinate HPD debt. HPD is also obliged to pay almost $1 million a year in rent subsidy. If for any reason they don't pay that, and there's a default of the loan and a foreclosure, it would wipe out HPD's 17 million in sub debt. So I don't think it's imprudent to insure this, despite the presence of Rockaville in this project.
Right, and the insured amount per unit's low anyway.
Yes.
Part of, because HPD is so big.
Yes.
In the project, right?
Yeah. The loan is only a little over 10% of the development cost of the project.
Mike, I have a question that I've probably asked before, but just looking at the projects today, I wanted to ask you again. When we see the cost per unit in the analysis of the construction costs, it's a certain amount. And then when you do the risk analysis, it's almost the second number is always higher. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example specifically here. So we say that the hard cost per dwelling unit is about $200,000, 190, right? That feels a little low to, right? In New York City construction prices being what they are and so on. But that's technically, again, the hard cost per dwelling unit. When we scroll down and we look at the risk analysis, it says the loan amount is X per unit equals 12% of the project's total development cost of $525,000 per unit. So that delta of $325,000 per unit is from where?
Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, help me.
Yep, you can see it.
It's the acquisition
Keep going.
cost of the project, the soft cost, the developer fee.
Right there. 524.
Because
Here you get the 197 hard costs, and then
because it doesn't have soft costs or acquisition costs or developer fee. Right,
the
got it.
acquisition
No,
costs are
thank you.
high here,
Yep.
right? The 182.
Right, because they got to buy the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. No, there's always there's always a, you know, okay,
Yep.
that's helpful, just in terms of following through the materials and looking at the math.
Yep.
And because,
Well, and usually the hard cost would be much higher, and the acquisition would be lower.
Right.
Right on construction.
right. By the way, just for what it's worth, Ruth Ann and I had a little sidebar over what's happening here, which is a lot of money to renovate an SRO because the laws require that you have to have a bathroom and a kitchen in each unit. And there are housing advocates, as we all know, out there now saying, given the crisis of affordable housing in New York City, should we go back, right? Should there be exceptions where you actually could have what we would call an SRO, where there'd be a shared kitchen, for example, or a shared bathroom down the hall? You know, there are advocates saying, no, don't do that. Do this at this cost and they, you know, a small number of units. Or do you go back to something like that? Bigger debate for another day, not our purview necessarily, but it's the whole SRO question is a very interesting one now.
I thought I heard that there's a bathroom in each unit,
Yes.
There is.
but it's a shared kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah, these will have shared kitchens.
This will have a shared kitchen. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a shared kitchen, so it's not a kitchen in every unit.
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions for Mike on the project? Or any other questions?
Okay, now this is only before the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee because anything under 7 million, right, Mike? It only requires the approval of the committee as opposed to the board. So assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, and that's Ken, Ruth Ann, and Jesse. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Don't go too far. We've got another one. Number 9, resolution of Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $2,450,000 CPC permanent first mortgage for 2524-2526 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Project in Manhattan, of course.
This project is at 146th Street. It comprises the very substantial rehab of 18 units and 1,300 square feet of commercial space. And it's an $8 million total development cost, and there's $3 million in HPD subordinate debt. There's a New York City Article 11 full real estate tax exemption on the residential portion. The units will be eligible to tenants who earn 50, 60, or 120% of the AMI. The insured loan is $136,000 per unit, as compared with the total development cost of $458,000 per unit. And the project would break even with a pro forma 12% vacancy rate or a 13% increase in OpEx.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions for Mike on this project? Alex, let's do it. Let's make it real.
Again, before the committee only, resolution transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Great. Let's move to number 10, a resolution of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $2,020,391 CPC permanent first mortgage for a project which is called The Rise, and it is in Brooklyn.
This is an interesting project. It's the construction of 72 units and almost 14,000 square feet of community facility space. The Mortgage Insurance Committee is being asked to insure a $2 million loan. The project's total development cost is $50 million. It's a very, very heavily subsidized project, both by HCR and the Homeless Housing Assistance Corporation. There's both SHOP loan, there's a housing trust fund loan, there's $4.2 million federal housing trust fund loan. There's $22 million in federal low-income housing tax credits. Of the 72 units, 39 will be ESHI units, Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative. And there'll be a contract between OMH and the Women's Prison Association. And the targeted tenants will be women who are being newly released from prison. The insured loan amount is only $28,000 per unit, as compared with a cost of $694,000 per unit. So this is an expensive project.
And the land cost is $1.
Right.
So when we took the total project cost, there's a lot of money because
Yes.
the land is free.
Yes. And it would break even with a 13% pro forma vacancy rate or an 11% increase in operating expenses.
Mike, thank you. Again, another apology to new directors, which is the frequent use of sometimes mysterious acronyms. We got a lot of these acronyms. ESHI. Ruth Ann, what's ESHI?
ESHI stands for the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, which is, if you're familiar with what was New York, New York 1, New York, New York 2, New York, New York 3, it's a pooled sort of an umbrella term that references service and operating contracts, whether you either through DOH, through the Office of Mental Health, or the Office of Substance Abuse, the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, OTDA. So they all run operating subsidy programs to serve their respective mental health supportive housing or substance abuse residents in supportive housing. So they get pooled under ESHI, and nonprofit organizations apply for the operating contracts. And then once they get them, when we build buildings, the operating contracts then pay part of the rent and services for the households that live in the units.
Yeah, we'll see. This is a good thing, and we'll see this increasingly because Ruth Ann and the team here, a lot of the affordable housing in the state now is supportive housing, right? So you're not going to see so many typical 80-20 deals you might have seen 10 years ago. Now, many of these projects, again, you got to get used to all the duck soup with all the acronyms, but we have all these different programs in the state that enable the financing, the construction of affordable housing with special support services for special populations. Very good. Thank you for reviewing this one. Mike, let's make it happen. Alex?
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is the resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, Jesse.
The motion is carried. The resolution adopted. 11
is a resolution of SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 75% mortgage insurance on an increase of $890,000 on a previously insured mortgage loan. So it goes up now to $7,150,000. Mike's going to go through the math in a second. On a CPC permanent first mortgage for the Woods, a project called The Woods in Pauling, the Woods at Pauling project, very nice name, up in Pauling, which is eastern Dutchess County, almost touching Connecticut. Mike?
So the increased construction costs result from two factors. An Article 78 proceeding against the town of Pauling, which was a NIMBY attempt to delay the project, plus COVID-related increase in construction costs. It's the development of 80 units, which will be affordable at 30, 60, 80, or 90% of AMI. And the projected income is now based on the HUD 2022 Dutchess County AMI. The original underwriting was based on the HUD 2020 Dutchess County AMI. And this will allow about a 16% increase in projected rents.
As an example, Mike, the 2 units there are only 2 units that are at 30%, right? But they go from $422 a month to $490, about $500 a month. Yeah, just think about what AMI is in Dutchess County, right? Great. Any questions for Mike? So they need a little more insurance. Alex?
Okay, now before the committee, resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Ruth Ann?
Aye, sorry.
Yep. The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Project number 12, resolution of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee and of the SONYMA Board. We get both groups now. Recommending and approving 100% mortgage insurance on an increased loan of $15,800,000 and a 2.2 or $2,201,256. Thank you. That's the amount of the increase over the previously approved insured amount of $13,598,744 for a project up in Buffalo called Fetter Lofts.
So this project comprises the conversion of a former industrial space into 72 units. The projected rents will be affordable between 104% and 115% of the Buffalo AMI. And the increase in construction costs were caused by a delay, some tax issues from the developer. And this loan was originally approved 3 years ago. And simply the projected rents now are substantially higher than they were when the project was originally underwritten 3 years ago.
You know, Mike, as usual, there's a helpful photograph in the materials. This is what we call a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a building. Any questions? Then for our SONYMA board members as well. For example, Director Miller.
Sorry. So I noticed that obviously there's an increase in the interest rate, and I assume that's something that we're going to continue seeing.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
And it looks like the results of the increase in cost and the increase in interest rate results in a decrease in the number of units,
Yes.
as well as an increase in the tenant rent.
Yes.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I have the feeling it's the first.
Yeah, right. It's probably not the last time you're going to see that, Joyce, right?
The common retirement fund rate today is 7%.
Really?
Yeah.
So this was locked back when we were before this most recent disruption. So the 30/30 is at like 7, and the 15/30 is probably right around or just under 7.
And the NYSERS rate is also above
The
7.
rate is above 7 as well.
Yeah.
They only do a 30/30.
They're both based on the Freddie rate or something.
NYSERS has a 9-step formula that's in some way based on the treasury.
On the treasury, I'm sorry, yeah.
As well. CRO has a new formula, and that's also based on.
Yes. Spencer used to make radiators, but I thought Fetters made air conditioners. Right? Aren't Fetters air conditioners?
Yes.
They do.
You know, Fetters are. So the Fetters lofts, you know, the history here, someone could look it up, but it says in the write-up they made radiators, and maybe they did, but I wonder if it's the same company that we know as Fetters Air Conditioners, right?
So
I wonder. Yeah. Well, it's a project of great potential. And, you know, there's a lot going on in Buffalo, thanks to the Bills right now. So where's Andy, our Buffalonian? He's not here today. We don't have an MBBA meeting.
I have one more question.
Sure, of course, Joyce.
Is there any discussion of doing some kind of increased subsidy on the interest rate because of the increasing interest rates and its effect on tenant eligibility and on the number of units that can be created?
So, ask that again, I'm not sure what you mean. Is there a subsidy on the interest rate
Yeah,
from the banks?
no, from us.
We only charge 0.5%. I mean, on our subsidies are at 0.5%. So we could drop them to zero, but they do provide revenue to the agency to operate. So if we,
It's a problem.
so I mean, it's not our sole revenue, but and we do, I think, on projects where they don't work, try to be flexible, but we do try to maintain a servicing and interest rate where we can.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, rates are getting very high.
Yeah.
Is the increase in rents that you mentioned, and I believe you said something like there's a substantial increase in rents. Is it commensurate with the increase in the interest rates that we're talking about, or is it more?
It's both the increased construction costs
Okay.
and increase in interest rates.
Okay. So it's not out of proportion. Okay.
No,
Okay.
No.
That's my question.
and this is a newly completed project, so it's not an increase to an incumbent tenant. It's just an increase in projected
And when
rents now.
when it's complete,
opposed to
what the rents
projected
will be. Right.
rents
Just,
then.
Thank you.
yeah, no, it's a good point, Mike, because whilst we often see kind of rehab projects where there is a tenant there, the buildings in some of the, like Yonkers Housing Authority, some of the authorities that we support around the state. And so there's financing to renovate the building and upgrade all the facilities for tenants, but then they have to live somewhere else temporarily. They go back, and yeah, you got to look out for an increase in rent on that tenant. But in this case, there's no one living there yet because it's not done. But so over the year of this calendar year, we've seen supply chain issues, construction cost issues, material costs, you know, inflation certainly, both supply chain and inflation and the interest rate environment affect all of this.
It's also historic, so they have to renovate it to historic preservation standards.
And this project is 2 years overdue, right?
Yeah,
It was supposed to be done in 20.
it went through a redesign for a number of different reasons, yes. It's 3 years delayed.
It's only a couple blocks away from the state hospital, right? Which means it's near Buff State. But do you know the H.H. Richardson is one of the most important historic buildings in Buffalo is the old New York State Hospital, right? You know that building? Oh, it's amazing. It's one of Richardson's most famous buildings.
Oh, is it the one that they converted into part of it was a hotel?
Part of it, but it's just huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. And it's on this big campus. I think it's only a few blocks from Tonawanda. Like this is Tonawanda Street. All right. If there are no further questions, Alex, let's make this real and give Mike what he needs to get the job done.
Right, so this will be 2 votes. The first is the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. Assuming the first and second is previously entered for the committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Resolution, the motion is carried, the resolution adopted. Then we'll do a full SONYMA board approval. Assuming the first and second is previously entered for the SONYMA board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried, the resolution adopted.
Well, that's it. No further business for the SONYMA board. Alex will ask for motions to adjourn the SONYMA meetings for this morning.
So assuming the first and second is previously entered for the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee and the SONYMA board, all in favor of adjourning today's meetings, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried. The resolution, the meetings are adjourned. Our next SONYMA board meeting, we meet every month, are scheduled for Thursday, November 10th at 9 a.m.
Right here.
Right?
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone. Now, I need to say, we rarely get this done by 10 o'clock. I don't know what happened. It must have been Mike's very succinct presentations.
We still have HTFC.
Of course, yes, some of us have to stay for a whole nother series of HTFC items. Anyone's welcome to stay to witness this, but otherwise, we thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. And there's some follow-up on Wallace's questions, right?
Yeah.
Great.
And I just wanted to add, this is kind of an unusual meeting in that in our normal meetings, the HFA portion would still involve SONYMA because SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Fund insures a number of the HFA projects. So that's what Ken was alluding to, where the votes are done by all the boards at the same time. This is an odd one in that really the SONYMA, there are no HFA
We don't have
projects.
HFA
Right.
finance projects that have a SONYMA overlay.
So you would be staying longer in a normal meeting.
We're trying to warn you. You can come back. You just say, hey, that meeting, I drove all that way. It only took an hour. Anyway, thank you very much.
And you're free to stay if you want.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's continue. Alex, we've got number 13. This is an HFA item. It's a resolution of the HFA board members approving a request for continuation of the forbearance in debt service payments as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and at a particular project called Linwood Allentown Preservation Project. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason Pearson. I'm the Senior Vice President of Statewide Asset Management, and I'm here today to present for your approval a request for the extension of a forbearance for one property in our portfolio. Before I get into the specific of today's request, I'd like to first provide a little bit of background and context. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the Asset Management Unit has closely monitored our portfolio of 726 properties for signs of financial distress and has performed ongoing financial evaluations of properties in the portfolio. Our portfolio has held up extremely well considering the loss of employment and income that is experienced throughout the state, and our projects have largely not experienced any kind of significant loss of rent collections. Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've received 21 total requests to date from owners for forbearance, and the agency has granted only 3 of them. All 3 of those were approved last year at the July 2021 HFA board meeting. Of the 3 forbearances that were then granted, 2 of those projects have since been able to resume their required debt service obligations. However, the owner of one of these properties, Linwood Allentown in Buffalo, has requested an extension of their forbearance, and staff has determined that a continuation and the reduction of monthly principal and interest payments at a level of approximately $17,000 is warranted, along with a continued waiver of its servicing fee. The total cost of this financial relief will be approximately $86,000 per month. The property has experienced a significant loss of rental income as a result of non-payment, along with the eviction moratorium. And the non-payment and vacancy loss has had a tremendous impact on the property's financial situation, putting it at risk of default. Additionally, the project has experienced a vacancy issue as a result of capital needs that have to date not been addressed, but in the process of being addressed through a PTAP loan. That's our preventative asset program. We awarded about $1.7 million in June 2021 to assist with this, and that work is currently underway. The agency's computational consultant, which is K-Mitter, has analyzed the assumed mortgage payments, or I should say the mortgage payment reduction for a 1-year period, and confirmed that the mortgage modification will not necessitate drawing upon any debt service reserves, and that the remaining revenues are sufficient to meet the agency's upcoming debt service obligations. And just to give you a sense of scale, this property has an aggregate loan balance that represents just 0.10% of the entire outstanding balance of the Affordable Housing Resolution. The agency has been and continues to work with the owner for a solution, with the intention that we will not have to come before you again for another request for an extension a year from now. In addition to the continuation of the mortgage forbearance, we are requiring the removal of the managing agent by the end of this calendar year, and also requiring resumption of deposits to the building's replacement reserves, which have previously been waived for the past year. With that, we are asking for the board's approval to provide up to a year of mortgage forbearance, a partial forbearance for this property, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Jason. Any questions?
And I just wanted to comment that since the beginning of the COVID problems, HFA, as SONYMA, has been providing quarterly filings to the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board for the benefit of investors in our bonds, detailing exactly what Jason has been saying as relates to HFA and on SONYMA, so that the investors know what the status is of the implications of COVID on our bond programs.
Thanks, Alex. Helpful. Great. Alex, let's take the action we need to help out here.
Okay, now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted, transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Now we have an, thanks, Jason. Very good. We have an AHC consent item this morning. It's number 14, a resolution authorizing the award of grant funds. In the materials, right?
It's in the materials.
Yep.
This is a consent item. Dominic is probably here in case questions are asked, but if none, now before AHC is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for the Affordable Housing Corporation, a subsidiary of HFA. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
You know what we usually tell Dominic, Alex? We tell him, don't spend it all in one place.
I won't.
Okay.
Alex, make sure that's in the minutes.
It will be. It will be. In mellifluous.
Now we have an HTFC agenda item. In fact, the numbering of the item starts back because it's HTFC. And we have item number 1. The first item on our agenda this morning is a transcript of the board and audit committee meetings that we held back on September 8, 2022. The transcript shall be deemed approved, absent corrections from members or directors. Not hearing any, Alex. I think we're good. Number 2 for HTFC, resolution authorizing multifamily awards. And
Here's Brett.
Brett Hebner, is he on the TV? Hey, I was referring to this earlier. We have our colleagues on TV. Brett, you're on.
Yay, I'm on TV. Who would have ever thought that I would make it to TV? Good morning.
You only get 15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for the reminder. I will be presenting for the board's approval a total of 9 projects that were conditionally awarded under the winter 2022 multifamily finance 9% request for proposals. These awards were made in July of 2022, and we presented the first half of the awards to the board last month, and this represents the balance of the awards made under that request for proposals. If you would refer to the chart on page 2 of your memo, I'll walk through the details of each of the projects in summary form, and feel free to stop me along the way. These are organized by regional economic development councils. So beginning at the top with the capital region, the first is a home leasing project. That's the developer with Elmer Gardens, which is a project located in Schenectady. It's an adaptive reuse of a historic school. And all 51 units are, again, with the acronyms, ESHI supported, targeting seniors who are 55 plus. So these are homeless seniors with difficulties in activities of daily living. So there's services and operating support being provided through that ESHI grant for the seniors in the project. Next is Christopher Communities Community View Apartments. This is a new construction project located in the village of Morrisville in Madison County. This is a 61-unit project, which is an integrated supportive housing project, again with 20 of the units being set aside for ESHI seniors, with Krause Community Center being the supportive provider and the co-developer. Next is Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services Wheat Street Apartments. This is located in the village of Cayuga. This is a 47-unit project in total. It's a combination of new construction and the adaptive reuse of the school. There is a integrated supportive housing component with 9 units being set aside for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Moving to Long Island, the next is a Park Grove Development. The name of the project is Baldwin Commons. This is a 33-unit new construction project, which is what we call a workforce opportunity project, which is essentially a transit-oriented development for all affordable housing, no supportive component. And it's in combination with a downtown revitalization initiative award, again for 33 units located in the town of Hempstead in Nassau County. Moving to New York City. The next is Barrier-Free Living. The name of the project is Freedom Village. This is a 75-unit project, a new construction supportive housing project. Is located on East 2nd Street in Lower Manhattan. All 75 units are ESHI supported, and there's a combination of ESHI seniors and survivors of domestic violence. One of the hallmarks of Barrier-Free Living's mission is to provide all accessible units in their project. So 100% of the units in this project will be entirely accessible. They focus on folks with physical disabilities as well as the other life challenges I mentioned. This is funding in collaboration with the Homeless Housing and Assistance Program as well as the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development. Next is the Bridges Boone Avenue Apartments. This is a 66-unit project, new construction located in the Bronx. Again, an integrated supportive housing project with 20 of the 66 units are ESHI supported for a combination of individuals with serious mental illness and seniors, and 31 of the units are supported by New York 1515 rental and services subsidies. Moving to the southern tier, and next is Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services again with their second award for Village Grove. This is a project located in the village of Trumansburg in Tompkins County. It's a 46-unit project with new construction with, it's a mixed use / mixed income project that does have a supportive housing component. 7 of the 46 units are set aside for homeless veterans and survivors of domestic violence, again supported by ESHI services and operating subsidies. And it involves a standalone commercial building for a nursery school. That's the mixed use component of that project. Moving to Western New York, Mount Olive Development Corporation is a project called Mount Olive Senior Manor. This is a 65-unit new construction project involving a brownfield remediation. It's also an integrated supportive housing project with 20 of the 65 units being set aside for ESHI seniors. Although the entire project does serve seniors, again, these 20 units are for disabled seniors with services available on site. And that is located in the city of Buffalo. And lastly is Kanaka Partners Victoria Place. This is an adaptive reuse of a former Catholic school. It's a 35-unit senior housing project for 55 and over individuals. Again, this is not a supportive project, but what we would call a senior housing project, where residents aren't provided services as part of on-site, but have access to services through local community providers that are aimed towards aging in place for long-term tenancy. This is located in the village of Kenmore in the county of Erie. So I know that was very quick, and happy to answer any questions the board may have on any of these.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Brett. Brett, I have just a timing question. I was, you know, you did the RFP, I think, back in February, right, according to your report. And then you were able to get the responses in and rate them and score them and judge them and all that and make awards in July. That's only, to me, that seems like 4 months, and it seems good, right? But what's your, I don't want to pat you on the back yet. I mean, what's your take on the process? Like how long it took you to do that? I assume you had really competitive, we hope you had, like, you know, competitive applications for the tax credits and the subsidies, but it seems like turning it around in 3 or 4 months is pretty good. But I'm a fan of state government. Maybe I'm you know, overly optimistic here. What's your take on that?
That was a fairly short turnaround. We only left the RFP on the street for 6 weeks. We typically do that for 8 weeks. Applications were due on March 31st, so it was a fairly quick turnaround. But I have to say, fairly typical. We're able to do the entire process in not quite 6 months, sometimes 7 to maybe 8, because we have to then develop the next RFP and get it on the street. Trying to do this whole process in twice a year. It's averaging a little more than 6 months, but we're doing the best that we can. We had 70 applications and awarded 16.
Are you pretty confident that the developer community and the intermediaries to developers and the agencies that provide the support, is everybody aware of this? Or is there good, you know, you're getting good responses all across the state, and is there a high level of awareness of the opportunity?
So I would say, Brett, jump in. We did a large effort, I guess it was in 2019, because it was pre-COVID, where we brought stakeholders together to talk about changes to the process. And we used to do this process once a year. And the way the timing worked out, not all places, we were sort of missing construction seasons for some people. So we made the change for 2 reasons. One, so we went to twice a year. It was sort of a big change rather than once a year, both to not have to have people wait an entire year if they didn't get their project approved to start again. First, in some ways, to sort of help a construction season so that people could sort of be at the timeline. And it's been challenging. It's what people wanted, it's what the industry wanted, and sort of asked for, and we did it. I think the challenge for us has been, we used to get 80 applications and we awarded 40, and now we get 80 applications twice a year, and we're still doing 40 awards. So it is in some ways made our work much harder. So we're sort of working our way through that change. But I think Brett, right, the industry certainly knows and sort of asked for this.
Right.
Correct.
So it's split the work into two. When's the next RFP going out, Brett? When's the next round?
Oh, that's a great question. I meant to mention that at the beginning. We actually released the fall round RFP on September the 29th, and applications are due December the 6th.
Right. Great.
So we had hoped that we would get like 40 applications each time and award 20, and it's not really working out that way, but
How many come back in?
Oh, right.
So you've already-
people just come back over and
Right,
over. So sometimes
in
they're
some ways
applying,
you've
they're
seen
not
them
quite
before,
ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can review them a little more quickly.
Yeah,
You also
because
know
you've
the
had eyes
developer,
on
right?
them multiple times.
Right.
Yeah. But Brett's team does a great job. They review an enormous amount of information in a very short period of time to make these awards, and we
It
get
is a
great
lot of work.
projects.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great projects.
You said that you're getting 80 applications twice a year?
So we historically had gotten 80 applications for our 1 year round, and now we're getting maybe, I don't know if we're getting quite 80, but we're getting close to that. We're trying to find some ways to trim that down because we think we're getting not always the best applications in the 80 because the cities when people are sort
So,
of.
so 80 twice a year though, is what you're saying,
We're
was-
getting about 80 each time we put it out now. We're getting 80 and we're awarding 20.
20, okay, and before you were doing 40 out of 80?
Before we were doing it once a year, getting about the same number of applications and awarding 40. And again, some of this is people putting in, and we're making some changes, but we had some developers who would put in 2 or 3 applications per region, and we're only awarding 2 projects per region. And so we sort of went back and talked to people and said, you can't really put in 2 or 3 applications in one region. We're not going to award the same developer 2 projects in one region if that's all we're awarding. So we're sort of working through with the industry some changes to try and tamp down that 80 to be more like 60.
So we have kind of an informal cap of about 40 per year, is that the idea?
We're limited by our resources, get us about 40 projects a year. Brett and his team do a great job between the capital sources and the tax credits to
right.
match them up to get, and as Brett will tell you, when they come with what they've done, I'm often saying, like, we just get a couple more out of there. So they really try to squish and squeeze and get as many projects awarded as we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Developers who are submitting more than one project or multiple projects, is that because they're sort of throwing it up in the air, hoping one gets an award out of the group that they're proposing?
I don't know, Brett, do you want to take that? I mean, I'm happy to, but I don't want to monopolize.
Sure. I think they're not homogeneous, right? So you have developers who are sophisticated and have a statewide footprint, and their goal is to get 3 applications in every round in different regions to kind of spread the the possibility to try to create as much opportunity for themselves as possible. And then you have more regional focused. Perhaps not-for-profits that are trying to put in 1 or 2 applications because they're working a particular area that they've built up of familiarity and expertise in. So it's a little bit of a variety, I would say.
So have you
I don't know if that
considered
answers
just
your question,
limiting
Joyce.
the number of applications that one developer could put in?
So we just did, that was one of our announcements that Brett made in Rochester. The crowd did not go wild. But we made the announcement that people are, we made the announcement and that people are allowed to only submit, Brett, what is it, 2 projects total and only 1 per region?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you can't submit 4 projects across the state, only 2, and you can't submit 2 in one region. We're only awarding 2, right? So it was very logical, but people didn't. He was not going to standing ovation, but they knew it was coming, and we had talked about it, and we felt confident that it's the right decision.
I think their odds are,
Well, I mean,
Wallace.
it's their business, right? And so
Right.
they're tied up capital.
Wallace is cleaning up. Just informational
Exactly.
point to share your question earlier. So here's an example of another, entity, HTFC, the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, and the MWBE goals apply to these projects as well, because those goals cover all of our activities, regardless of, SONYMA, HFA, HTFC, et cetera.
I just wanted to say, I'm not walking out in protest.
You might have class.
I do have a class, and what I'm hearing is that next time I'll have one of my colleagues take over the class for me, so I'm not trying to rush out of here.
No worries.
Although my students would be more than happy not have class. I'm gonna go disappoint. Okay.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. If there are no further questions for Brett, let's let this move forward. Alex.
Sarah's.
Oh, Sarah, we've got more?
Yeah, Sarah is going to be playing the role of Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex is Sarah's taken over because it's HTFC. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you. Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right. Sorry, I'm going back to my
Item three.
Number 4, I think.
Three.
you
Or
know,
3? Oh.
I've got too many. I have too many open windows here.
You closed.
Yeah.
There it is.
There we go. We're on number
So number 3, pardon me there, I had to close one window, another one. Resolution authorizing an amendment to a downtown revitalization initiative, some call that DRI, award for the Tioga County Industrial Development Agency, or IDA. And Crystal's going to do this, I think.
Good morning. Thank you.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi. HCR participates in New York State's annual $100 million downtown revitalization initiative. The Department of State takes the lead on it, but then once projects are selected, they are divided among Empire State Development, Department of State, and HCR for contracting depending on areas of expertise. We have a project that was unfortunately unsuccessful from our 2019 slate of awards, and we are requesting approval to reallocate that funding to another existing contract. So the action item is to increase an existing award to absorb that money.
All right. I think we need to do that. Sarah?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Very good. Number 4 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to a Legacy City Access Program award for the Newburgh Community Land Bank.
Good morning, everyone. So this is a request for a revised Legacy City Access Award in the amount of $1.65 million or $150,000 per unit for the first project in Newburgh, which was initially approved in November of last year. The developer is a partnership between the Newburgh Land Bank and a BIPOC general contractor, Carlos Carbonero. The original award of approximately $2.2 million or $136,000 per unit was for the renovation of 6 buildings as affordable homeownership opportunities with accessory rentals for a total of 16 units. However, similar to the first Albany and Syracuse projects, which also received revised awards earlier this year, the project budget increased due to rising labor and materials costs and higher construction lending rates. So after closer scoping, 2 buildings were determined to be too expensive to complete within available subsidy limits and have now been removed from the project. So the revised project is for 4 2- and 3-family buildings for a total of 11 units, including accessory rentals. Sales prices to new home buyers are slightly lower than originally proposed and are affordable at 77% to 79% AMI. The project is requesting a marketing band of up to 100% AMI for income eligibility to help promote a greater mix of income diversity within the target neighborhood, which has a large concentration of LIHTC units and habitat homes. This is consistent with the original program terms at the time of the prior award, and the rental units will be affordable at 80% AMI for 30 years. So that's the revised project, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, that's very helpful. I think we're good. Anyone have questions?
I need to recuse myself.
Sadie's going to recuse herself.
Right, and I think, let me just step in on that. The HTFC vote requirement is 6 under the statute. We only have 6 members present. And so under our code of ethics, we can accept Sadie's vote without a recusal, assuming certain conditions are met. Let me just summarize those again. They're called extenuating circumstances. The first one is that the director's vote is required to meet the affirmative vote requirement, and the director is voting. Sadie is voting yes, and her vote is required because we need all 6 board members. The other requirement is that all the other board members are voting unanimously on the project, so I'm asking whether the rest of the board is all voting in favor.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, and assuming the rest, so that with that requirement satisfied, and with the fact that we need to have the project approved at today's meeting, and the fact that Sadie has communicated this to us and prior to the meeting, we are able to accept her vote without a recusal. And we'll send Sadie a formal email detailing that after the vote.
Do you want to ask for a formal vote for everybody else, or have you got the ayes to give you
I think
before?
Sarah
We're good.
will do that.
Oh, Sarah, I'm sorry. Why don't you make the motion now, and we'll do as Alex has said.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Burke, Sarah. And let's move on to, is it 5 now? Resolution authorizing public housing modernization and public housing drug elimination awards by Bob. Bob? Rob. Hi, Rob. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. The State Public Housing Authority program currently has about 9 public housing authorities remaining in the program. There are currently 1,839 units served in this program, as well as 3,277 residents. Currently, 7 of the 9 housing authorities are applying for public housing modernization funding totaling $8,410,000. This is to address critical capital need work and pre-development expenses. Additionally, 4 of those 7 housing authorities are applying for public housing drug elimination funds totaling $950,000. This is to address security work at the sites.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
No, that's good. Thanks, Rob. Anyone have questions for Rob? If not, Sarah, let's make it real. Oh, I'm sorry, Sadie. Pardon me.
Are any of these are the ones that went through training?
Correct.
And are any of them going to go forward with a
Yes, they
bigger
are.
renovation? Okay.
Correct, they are. They actually 5 of them have engaged with consultants and development partners. We have allocated pre-development expenses to assist with the remaining 4 housing authorities. We are working with to help move them forward. 2 of which have already committed that they do have plans to move forward, and we are meeting with the other 2 to discuss forward.
That's great. Thank you.
Salamanca has a housing authority. I didn't realize that. These are some small housing authorities.
It's really very important housing in these smaller communities.
No, yeah. Little Falls has a housing authority.
Yeah.
Tonawanda, I could see it. That's a big area. All right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Sadie. Any other questions? Sarah, to you.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right.
The motion is
Well done.
carried and
Thank
the
you.
resolution adopted.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. Good presentation. Appreciate that. Number 6, a resolution approving the seeker documentation and classification of the Vital Brooklyn Park Place, site number 1. Now, Heather's doing this? No. Who's doing this?
Shirley.
Shirley.
Hi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lori Shirley, and I work with Heather, and she is on vacation this week, so I am stepping in for her.
Thank you.
And today, you're welcome. And today I'm recommending the Vital Brooklyn Park Place project be classified as an unlisted action, and that a negative declaration be made pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQR for short. This project is sponsored by Help Development Corporation, and it's the new construction of a 5-story, 43-unit building located at 575 Park Place in the borough of Brooklyn. In addition to the residential units, the building will include a women and children's annex to be used by One Brooklyn Health Systems. Public water and sewer are available at the site. Site work includes removing an existing parking lot, grading, excavation, construction of driveways, a parking lot, and sidewalks. And construction is estimated to last approximately 20 continuous months. No unmitigated adverse environmental impacts were found during the EAU staff's review of the project, and we are not aware of any issues likely to cause controversy related to potential environmental impacts. So thank you for your consideration.
Would have made sense. Thank you. Thank you. Important project. Any questions? If not, Sarah, let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, thanks, everyone. Number 7 is a resolution authorizing an increase in the maximum value authorized for a contract with a Section 8 waiting list case management vendor. So this is Dan is going to do this one, thank you, and tell us about this contract.
Morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Dan, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. In July, we came to the board seeking authorization for a vendor to help us process our new New York City waiting list for the Section 8 program, Housing Choice Voucher Program. We have 30,000 families who have been selected from a pool of over 370,000. This wait list needs to be managed in addition to the existing caseload of recertifications and inspections. So we are bringing in a vendor to help us do that. In July, we authorized the vendor in a preliminary dollar amount. The following month, with the help of the procurement team, we sent an invitation for bid out to our existing SPLA panel. We got one bid back, and the vendor who we're negotiating with recommended a bit more of a long-term approach, which increased the cost more than what we expected, but for which we think is the correct approach and is cost reasonable. So we're coming back to approve the vendor, which is going to be CVR, and approve the revised dollar amount, which is just over $1.5 million.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dan. Any questions?
We're approving the length by another year.
We're
Another
approving
year?
the length by an additional year also? Dan?
Yeah, but the contract will be for 2 years. In actuality, I think the work will take about 13 or 14 months.
Okay. Sarah, let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Very good. We're going to go to number 8, a resolution designating Margaret Femmel.
Yep.
Yes. Margaret's going to be designated as an authorized signatory of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Jason is back to explain why we're doing this. What's going on here?
Good morning, everyone. Well, what is going on is Marilyn Fleshman, who was our longtime VP and Director of Asset Management on the HTFC side, recently retired, and we are very happy to announce that we've recently appointed Margaret Femmel as the acting VP and co-director. For this reason, Margaret needs signatory authority to conduct or to execute a variety of business documents. Currently, the authority to sign documents rests with only 2 individuals, myself as SVP of Statewide Asset Management and Becky Kepnick as the Chief Strategy Officer for Portfolio Preservation. We'd like to have an additional person to sign documents as necessary. There's a brief bio on Margaret in the board memo, but in short, she has over 30 years of affordable housing experience and has been with HCR for almost 20 years and is well qualified to serve as acting VP and to have the signatory authority. As a result, I'm requesting that signatory authority be granted to Margaret Femmel for conducting agency business.
Sounds like a reasonable request, does it not? All right. Sarah?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Jason,
Thank you, Jason.
give Margaret the signing pen.
I will. She will be very excited.
Now we're going to move on to number 9, a resolution authorizing extension of the contract that we have with Almas Construction LLC. I think Nanika's doing this.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Good morning. Snuck in from the back.
Yeah. Yes, so good morning. So yes, Gosher is seeking a 1-year extension without a competitive award process for Almas Construction. Almas was selected to perform professional services for CDBGR residential construction services. The company was selected based on its project experience, personnel references, technical approach, and commitment to comply with federal, state, and local regulations. The contract was executed in May 2016. There have been several amendments, and this current extension request would extend the contract by only 1 year to November 2023 to complete remaining work. Why are we seeking this extension? We're seeking this extension because Almas provides critical services to Gosher. This entity has developed institutional knowledge that is essential to provide necessary services to Gosher. Specifically, there's a large-scale rebuild by design and national disaster resilience work project currently in construction, and it will not conclude prior to the current end date of the Almas contract. A transference to another vendor would not be done in a timely manner and would unnecessarily interrupt services in the administration of the program.
Well, I believe you. How's everybody else feel? You convinced me. Any questions?
I have one question. So over time, it started out as 20 million and now it's up to 58 million roughly. Is that because we added work or did costs just go up?
Don't make that question.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry. Can you please repeat the
question? So when we originally awarded this
Morning.
contract, it was a $20 million contract. And then many times been amended and now it's up to 57. And I was just asking if we added more work to the contract or just costs went up?
Thank you for your question. It's because we added more work every time that they responded as the lowest responsive bidder, which we added more work.
Thank you. That's helpful. I was just wondering if the original, what we thought was 20 is actually costing 57. But it sounds like no, because we're adding more work, which is great. Thank you. Okay.
And you're both confident that it, how do I say this nicely? You won't need another extension. Like by November, a year from now, or what, 13 months from now, you should be okay?
So we are confident that we will not need another extension. We've looked at all of our construction timelines and schedules. We're anticipating something towards next summer with some contingency because of unforeseen circumstances.
Right. Yeah, so if you think they're done by the summer, but the extension takes you to next fall, you got some wiggle room. Great, great, good. Any other questions? Well, thank you both. Sarah, let's make this real.
Now before the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Don't go anywhere. Wait, there's more. Let's go to number, is it 10 already? Mm-hmm. Resolution authorizing an extension of the contract with Lipsky Building Construction, Inc. So what's happening in this situation?
Okay, so it's a similar situation. We're seeking a 1-year extension without a competitive award process. Lipsky was selected to perform professional services under the CDBGDR Residential Elevation, Renovation, and New Construction Services RFQ. The selection of Lipsky was based on project experience, key personnel, technical approach, and commitment to compliance. Lipsky was awarded on a lowest responsive and responsible bid basis. That contract was executed in September 2016. There have been several amendments, and this 1-year extension would be a final extension date until December 2023. We're seeking this extension because Lipsky serves as one of the primary and longest service construction vendors for the housing program. As such, Lipsky is uniquely positioned to identify and address issues and complete required tasks related to the various housing projects. Moreover, the program anticipates a closeout of the Gosher construction program in 2023, and a new solicitation and onboarding of a new vendor would not be cost effective given the limited remaining duration of the program.
Right, makes sense. Questions? Similar situation? Good.
What happens if they come back next year?
Well, it's sunsetting, right? Yeah.
We're currently in the process of drafting a means and methods to procure for new contractors in the future as necessary.
Super. So there'd be a new bidding process. Yeah. Very good. Any questions? Well, Sarah, what can you do here?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right. Got your extension.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anika. Thank you both. Okay. You know, we're winding down here, my friends. Assuming that, no, that's Alex. The remainder. I'm reading Alex's part. I'm so pleased we're done. The remainder of the agenda items are informational. There'll be no presentation unless members so request. And they include a review of the seeker concur summaries. I caught that in the end of the book here. A review of the type 2 seeker summaries and a review of agency procurements and contracts, as we always do, to check for this in the lobbying restricted period. Now, there being no further items for HFA, AHC, and HTFC, Alex will ask, please, for motions and second to adjourn today's meetings.
So assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA, AHC, and HTFC, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried. The resolutions that the meetings are adjourned. Our next board meetings are scheduled for Thursday, November 10th.